Scenarist, Yulia Yakovenko. Kilkis Symboliv. 33196. Nazva. My wife texted, I'm leaving you for my ex. Don't contact me again. I replied, good luck. Then, preview. My wife texted, I'm leaving you for my ex. Don't contact me again. I replied, good luck. Then, I faked her abduction and locked her in a house, telling her ex she was waiting for him. 24 hours later, he arrived, looking guilty. Story. Nothing like marital trust to keep a man up at night. I sat in my kitchen at 2 in the morning, nursing my third cup of coffee and staring at the rain streaking down the window. The house felt hollow around me, all expensive furniture and empty spaces that Leah had decorated to look like a magazine spread. Everything perfect on the surface, rotting underneath. That's when her phone buzzed on the counter. She'd left it there when she went upstairs, probably figured I was too tired to care. After 15 years in private security, you learn to notice things other people miss. Like how my wife of 8 years had started guarding that phone like state secrets. The screen lit up with a text. Miss you already. Can't wait for tomorrow's getaway. Love you. M. The M wasn't for marriage. I set down my coffee and picked up the phone. No lock screen. Leah always said she had nothing to hide. Funny how liars always protest their honesty the loudest. The message thread with Matt went back months. Hundreds of messages, plans for secret meetings, photos I definitely didn't take, sweet words she hadn't said to me in years. Eli. Leah's voice came from the kitchen doorway. What are you doing up so late? I looked at my wife standing there in her silk pajamas, all blonde hair and practiced concern. Still beautiful at 34. Still the woman I'd fallen for back when I thought her ambition was admirable instead of ruthless. Just thinking, I said, setting her phone back on the counter. About your yoga retreat tomorrow. Something flickered in her green eyes. What about it? You're not going to a yoga retreat, are you, Leah? The mask slipped for just a second. Then she straightened, chin up, ready to gaslight me like she had for months. Of course I am. I told you, it's a weekend thing in Portland. Holly recommended it. I walked to the hall closet and pulled out her packed weekend bag. Unzipped it right there in front of her. Instead of yoga clothes and meditation books, I found silk lingerie, a little black dress, and expensive perfume. Interesting yoga gear, I said. Leah's face went white, then red. You went through my things? I went through my wife's things, in my house. Funny how that works. She grabbed for the bag, but I held it away from her. Ely, you don't understand. I understand plenty. Matt Dugan, your ex-boyfriend from college. The gym owner with the Instagram account full of shirtless selfies and motivational quotes about taking what you want. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. Here's what I don't understand, I continued, my voice staying calm even though my heart was hammering. Why you didn't just ask for a divorce? Why you had to sneak around, lie to my face, and make me feel crazy for noticing you'd checked out of our marriage? It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You've been planning this weekend for weeks. Told me you needed space, needed to find yourself. Turns out you knew exactly where to find yourself, in Matt's bed. Leah's composure cracked completely. Fine. Yes, I'm seeing Matt. Yes, we're going away together. You want to know why? Because you've become boring, Eli. Predictable. You come home, eat dinner, watch TV, and go to bed. When's the last time you surprised me? When's the last time you made me feel alive? When's the last time you gave me a chance to? She laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. This is over. We're over. I want a divorce. I nodded slowly. Okay, but first, why don't you finish your conversation with Matt? Tell him you'll be a little late. I handed her the phone. She stared at it like it might bite her. Go ahead, I said. Let him know that your husband found out. I'm sure he'll have some great advice about how to handle this situation. Leah grabbed the phone and her bag and stormed toward the front door. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. I'm sure I will. The door slammed behind her. I listened to her car start and pull out of the driveway, tires squealing on the wet pavement. Then I went upstairs to my home office and opened my laptop. See, there's something Leah never knew about my work in private security. Before I started my own consulting firm, I spent 5 years in military intelligence and another 10 working corporate espionage cases. I knew how to clone phones, track digital footprints, and gather evidence that would hold up in court. I'd been monitoring Leah's communications for 6 weeks. I knew about Matt, obviously, but I also knew about her friends Holly and Tina, who'd been encouraging the affair and helping cover for her. I knew about the joint bank account she'd been slowly draining to pay for hotels and gifts for Matt. I knew about the lies she'd told her family about me, painting me as controlling and emotionally absent to justify her cheating. Most importantly, I knew that Leah had no idea what she was dealing with. She thought I was the quiet, predictable husband who'd roll over and take whatever settlement her lawyer demanded. She thought I'd slink away with my tail between my legs, while she played the victim of a failed marriage. She was about to learn how wrong she was. I opened a new document and started typing. Time to plan a little surprise of my own. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove out to the old hunting lodge I'd inherited from my grandfather. It sat on 40 acres of pine forest about an hour north of town, far enough from civilization that you could scream and nobody would hear you. Not that I was planning anything violent. I'm not a psychopath, just a man who believes in consequences. The lodge was rustic but comfortable. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room with a stone fireplace. I'd been meaning to fix the place up, maybe use it for weekend getaways. Leah had always refused to come out here, said it was too isolated and boring. Perfect for what I had in mind. I spent the morning installing new smart locks on all the doors, the kind I could control remotely from my phone. Then I set up a few discreet security cameras in the main rooms. Nothing in the bedrooms or bathroom. I wasn't a creep, but I wanted to document whatever happened in the common areas. While I worked, I thought about Matt Dugan. I'd done my research on him too. 36 years old, divorced, owned a small gym called Peak Performance that was struggling financially. He'd been dating a string of younger women since his divorce, posting about his conquests on social media like a teenager. Leah wasn't his first affair with a married woman, either. I'd found evidence of at least 2 others in the past 3 years. Guy had a type. Successful, unhappy wives, looking for excitement. What Matt didn't know was that I'd been in touch with his ex-wife, Sandra. She'd been very helpful once I explained the situation. Turned out Matt had cheated on her too, with her best friend. Sandra was more than happy to share some interesting details about Matt's character and habits. Around noon, I got a text from Ray Kowalski, my old army buddy who owned The Last Turn, the local bar where everyone went to drink and gossip. Ray had been keeping an ear out for me, and he had news. "Your wife was here last night with her girlfriends," he texted, crying into her wine, telling everyone you're emotionally abusive and she's afraid to go home. Thought you should know. I smiled. Leah was already working on her victim narrative, trying to turn public opinion against me before the divorce proceedings started. Holly and Tina were probably helping her spread the story around town. That was fine. Let them talk. I finished setting up the cameras and tested the smart locks. Everything worked perfectly. Then I drove back to town and stopped by the hardware store, where I bought a few prepaid cell phones with cash. Mrs. Carmichael, my elderly neighbor, was working in her garden when I got home. She waved me over with the enthusiasm of someone who lived for gossip. "Ely, dear, I hope everything's all right. I saw Leah leaving very late last night, and she looked upset." "Just a little argument," I said. "Nothing serious." "Well, I did see a strange car parked down the street earlier. Dark sedan, tinted windows. Didn't recognize it. These days, you can't be too careful." I made a mental note. Mrs. Carmichael was the neighborhood watch, self-appointed but surprisingly effective. If I needed a witness to see something, she'd be perfect. "I'll keep an eye out," I told her. "Thanks for letting me know." That evening, I activated one of the prepaid phones and sent Leah a text from an untraceable number. "Change of plans. Meet me at the old hunting lodge tomorrow at noon. Come alone. We need to talk about our future, Missed E." Then I used another prepaid phone to send Matt a message. "Eli's getting suspicious. I'm scared. Meet me at the old place tomorrow afternoon. I'll send you the address. Please hurry. Missed L." I included GPS coordinates to the lodge and a photo of Leah that I'd pulled from her social media, one where she looked worried and vulnerable. Both phones buzzed back within minutes. "Leah, fine. But this better not be some kind of game, Eli. I'm done with games." "Matt, on my way, baby. Don't worry. I'll protect you from that psycho husband of yours." I turned off both phones and went to bed early. Tomorrow was going to be a busy day. I arrived at the lodge at 10 in the morning, 2 hours before Leah was supposed to show up. I wanted everything perfect. I'd stocked the place with basic supplies: water, canned food, a sleeping bag, a battery-powered radio. Nothing luxurious, but enough to keep someone alive and uncomfortable for a few days. At 11:30, I hid my truck in the woods behind the lodge, and settled in to wait. The security cameras were recording everything, and I had a perfect view of the driveway from the upstairs bedroom window. Leah arrived exactly on time, driving her white BMW, like she was heading to a spa instead of a confrontation with her betrayed husband. She parked in front of the lodge and sat in her car for a few minutes, probably texting Matt or her girlfriends. Finally, she got out and walked to the front door. She was dressed casually, jeans, sweater, boots, but she'd still done her hair and makeup. Even when she was scared, Leah couldn't resist looking perfect. She tried the door and found it locked. Knocked a few times, then called my name. I let her wait for 5 minutes before I triggered the smart lock from my phone and stepped out of the shadows. "Hello, Leah." She spun around, hand over her heart. "Jesus, Eli, you scared me half to death. Why are you lurking around like some kind of stalker? It's my property. I'll lurk wherever I want." She looked around at the dense trees surrounding the lodge, and I saw her realize how isolated we were, how alone she was. "You said you wanted to talk about our future," she said, trying to sound confident. "So talk, inside." I gestured toward the open door. She hesitated, then walked past me into the lodge. I followed her in and closed the door behind us. The smart lock engaged with a soft click. "Sit down," I said, pointing to the couch. "I'd rather stand." I wasn't asking. Something in my voice made her sit. "Good." For the first time in months, Leah was taking me seriously. I sat across from her in the old leather recliner my grandfather used to read in. The silence stretched between us, broken only by the wind in the trees outside. "You want a divorce," I said finally. "Yes, because I'm boring. Predictable. Among other things." "What other things?" She shifted on the couch, uncomfortable with the direct question. "We've grown apart, Eli. We want different things. I need someone who challenges me, who makes me feel passionate about life. Someone like Matt." "Yes, like Matt." "Tell me about him." "What?" "Tell me about Matt Dugan. What makes him so special? What does he give you that I don't?" Leah's cheeks flushed. "I don't have to explain myself to you. Actually, you do. See, I've been doing some research on your boyfriend. Did you know he's been married twice? Both wives divorced him for cheating. Did you know his gym is 3 months behind on rent? Did you know he's currently sleeping with at least 2 other women besides you?" The color drained from her face. "That's not true. I have photos, Leah. Text messages. Bank records showing he's been using your money to pay his debts." I pulled out my phone and showed her a screenshot of Matt's credit report. Then a photo of him leaving a hotel with a redhead who definitely wasn't Leah. Then copies of the checks Leah had been writing to Cash that somehow ended up in Matt's account. "You're lying," she whispered, but her voice shook. "I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. That's your specialty." She stood up suddenly. "I'm leaving. This is insane." She walked to the door and tried the handle. It didn't budge. "Eli, open this door right now." "Sit down, Leah. Open the fucking door. Sit down." She pulled out her phone to call for help, but there was no signal. The lodge was in a dead zone, something I'd verified weeks ago. "You can't keep me here," she said, but she was starting to sound scared instead of angry. "I'm not keeping you anywhere. You came here voluntarily to talk about our future, so let's talk." She sat back down, clutching her useless phone like a lifeline. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want you to understand something. You think I'm weak. You think I'm some pathetic husband who'll just roll over and let you destroy our life together while you run off with your boyfriend. You're wrong." I leaned forward in the chair. "I know about the money you've been stealing from our joint account. I know about the lies you've been telling your friends about me. I know about the other men before Matt. Because yes, I figured out he's not your first affair." Leah's eyes went wide. "How do you—" "I'm very good at my job, Leah. I find things out. I solve problems. And right now, you're a problem that needs solving." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm educating you." I stood up and walked to the window. In the distance, I could see dust rising from the dirt road, right on schedule. "Your boyfriend should be here soon," I said. "I told him you were in trouble, that your psycho husband had found out about the affair and you were scared for your life." "You what?" "He's coming to rescue you." Very romantic, don't you think? A car engine rumbled in the distance, getting closer. Leah ran to the window and looked out. "Oh my God, that's Matt's truck. Eli, what have you done?" "I've given you exactly what you wanted. Drama, excitement, a chance to feel alive." Matt's red pickup truck roared into the clearing and skidded to a stop behind Leah's BMW. He jumped out, looking like an action hero in his tight jeans and leather jacket. Even from inside the lodge, I could see the determined expression on his face. Matt! Leah pounded on the window. Matt, I'm in here. Look, misery. He heard her and ran toward the lodge. Tried the door, found it locked, then started looking for another way in. This is insane, Leah said. Let us out of here right now, or I swear to God. Or what? You'll divorce me? You'll take half my assets and run off with your boyfriend? Too late for threats, sweetheart. Matt had found a rock and was using it to break the lock on the back door. The old wood splintered easily, and within minutes he was inside the lodge. Leah, where are you? In here, she called. Matt burst into the living room, saw Leah by the window, and me standing calmly in the center of the room. His face went through several emotions: confusion, anger, protective fury. You son of a bitch, he said. What did you do to her? Nothing yet, I said. But the day is young. He moved toward me, fists clenched, but I held up my hand. I wouldn't, if I were you. See, I've been recording everything that's happened here today. You breaking into my property, threatening me in my own home. That's breaking and entering, assault, maybe kidnapping, depending on how good my lawyer is. Matt stopped, confused. Kidnapping? You're the one who what? Brought my wife to my own property for a private conversation. Meanwhile, you broke down my door and entered my home illegally to, quote, rescue a woman who came here voluntarily. I smiled at both of them. Funny how these things can be interpreted different ways. I let them stew in the lodge for 3 hours before I opened the doors and told them they were free to go. By then, both Leah and Matt were rattled, confused, and angry, exactly where I wanted them. This isn't over, Matt said as they walked to their cars. No, I agreed. It's just getting started. They drove away together in Matt's truck, leaving Leah's BMW behind. I made sure to get photos of them leaving together, looking disheveled and upset. Then I drove back to town and stopped by the last turn. Ray was behind the bar, polishing glasses and watching a baseball game on the TV. The place was mostly empty except for a few regulars nursing afternoon beers. How'd it go? Ray asked when I sat down. Better than expected. I need a favor. What kind of favor? I pulled out my phone and showed him a video clip from the lodge's security cameras. It showed Matt breaking down the back door while Leah pounded on the windows from inside. Jesus, Ray said. What the hell is this? Matt Dugan trying to rescue my wife from a conversation she didn't want to have. Funny thing is, it looks a lot like a kidnapping scenario, doesn't it? Especially if you didn't know the context. Ray studied the video more carefully. You want me to show this around? I want you to mention that you heard something strange happened out at my grandfather's place. Maybe someone saw a red pickup truck speeding away from there. Maybe someone heard that Leah Rourke was involved in some kind of incident. Ray grinned. This town loves a good story. That's what I'm counting on. I had another beer while Ray made a few phone calls. Within an hour, the story was spreading through town like wildfire. By evening, it had grown and mutated the way gossip always does. Some people heard that Matt had kidnapped Leah. Others heard that Leah and Matt had tried to rob my hunting lodge. A few creative souls suggested it was some kind of insurance scam gone wrong. The truth didn't matter. What mattered was that people were talking, and the story made both Leah and Matt look suspicious, desperate, and possibly criminal. I drove home around sunset and found Mrs. Carmichael waiting for me in her front yard. Neeli, thank goodness you're all right. I heard the most terrible things. What kind of things? Well, Martha Hendricks said she heard from her nephew, who works at the gas station, that your wife was involved in some kind of incident today. Something about that gym owner, Matt Dugan. People are saying he might have tried to hurt her. That's awful, I said, trying to sound concerned. I hope Leah's okay. She hasn't been home all day. Oh my. You don't think she's in danger, do you? I don't know what to think. This whole divorce thing has gotten very complicated. Mrs. Carmichael nodded sympathetically. These things always do. But I'm sure the truth will come out eventually. I'm sure it will. That night, I got a call from Detective Ray Amos of the local police. We'd worked together on a few cases over the years. He'd hired me to do background checks on potential hires, and I'd helped him with some digital forensics work. Neeli, I'm getting some strange reports about an incident at your hunting lodge today. You want to tell me what happened? Sure. Leah and I are getting divorced, and she asked to meet me there to discuss the settlement. When I got there, I found that someone had broken down my back door. Leah was upset, said her boyfriend had followed her there and broken in because he thought I was going to hurt her. Her boyfriend being Matt Dugan. That's right. I have security footage of the whole thing, if you're interested. I might be. This Matt character have any kind of record? Not that I know of, but I haven't run a full background check on him. Want me to? Might not be a bad idea. I'm getting reports that he's been harassing other women around town. Might be worth looking into. After I hung up, I smiled. The seeds were planted. Now I just had to wait for them to grow. I spent the rest of the evening going through Leah's social media accounts. I still had access to most of them, and documenting her lies. Screenshots of posts where she'd painted me as controlling and emotionally abusive. Photos of expensive gifts that she'd claimed came from her work bonus, but had actually been paid for with money from our joint account. Most interesting were her private messages with Holly and Tina. They'd been encouraging the affair for months, helping her plan secret meetings with Matt, even providing alibis when she lied about where she was going. Holly had written, "You deserve to be happy, girl. Eli's had his chance to be a good husband. Time to trade up." Tina had been even more direct. "Take him for everything he's worth in the divorce. Make him pay for all those years of being boring." They thought they were Leah's loyal friends, helping her escape an unhappy marriage. They had no idea they'd been helping her destroy her life. I saved everything to a secure drive, then went to bed. Tomorrow, the real fun would begin. 2 weeks later, I was ready to spring the final trap. The gossip mill had done its work perfectly. Matt's gym was hemorrhaging members as rumors spread about his criminal behavior and unstable personality. Someone had left negative reviews on every website that mentioned his business, describing him as dangerous and untrustworthy. Leah wasn't faring much better. Her company had put her on administrative leave, pending an investigation into her personal conduct and its impact on their reputation. Her friends were starting to distance themselves as the stories about her affair became public knowledge. Both of them were desperate, angry, and looking for someone to blame. Perfect. I sent them each a message from different prepaid phones. "Meet me at the old sawmill on Route 9 tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come alone. It's time to end this." The abandoned sawmill had been closed for 20 years, but the building was still structurally sound. More importantly, it had excellent acoustics and multiple entrances, which would be useful for what I had planned. I arrived early and set up a portable projector and screen in the main room. Then I positioned speakers around the space and connected everything to my laptop. Finally, I invited a few special guests. Ray showed up first, curious about the mysterious invitation I'd sent him. "What's this all about, Eli?" "Justice," I said, "and entertainment." Detective Amos arrived next, followed by Mrs. Carmichael and 3 of her gossipy neighbors. I'd told them all that I had evidence of criminal activity and wanted witnesses when I presented it. Holly and Tina came together, looking nervous and overdressed for an abandoned building. I'd sent them messages claiming to be Leah, asking them to come support her in a final confrontation with me. Matt's ex-wife Sandra drove up from Portland, eager to see her cheating ex-husband get his comeuppance. By 8 o'clock, I had a nice little audience assembled in the sawmill's main room. Everyone was confused and suspicious, but curious enough to stay and see what would happen. At 8:15, Matt's red pickup truck pulled into the parking lot. He got out cautiously, looking around like he expected an ambush. Leah arrived 5 minutes later in her BMW, which she'd retrieved from the hunting lodge. She looked terrible, unwashed hair, no makeup, clothes that had seen better days. The stress was getting to her. They saw each other in the parking lot and had a brief, heated conversation before walking into the sawmill together. "What the hell is this?" Matt demanded when he saw the crowd of people waiting inside. "This," I said, standing up from behind the projector, "is the truth." I clicked a button on my laptop, and the first image appeared on the screen. A text message from Leah to Matt, talking about how much she enjoyed spending her boring husband's money on their hotel rooms. "Jesus Christ," Leah whispered. The next image was a bank statement, showing the money she'd been funneling to Matt's failing business. Then photos of Matt with other women. Then screenshots of Holly and Tina's messages encouraging Leah to take Eli for everything he's worth. "Stop this," Leah said, but her voice was shaking. "We're just getting started," I replied. The presentation continued for 20 minutes, laying out the entire sordid story of the affair, the lies, the financial manipulation, and the attempts to paint me as an abusive husband. Every dirty secret, every betrayal, every hypocritical moment was displayed in high definition for everyone to see. By the time I finished, Leah was crying and Matt looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "You son of a bitch," Matt said, taking a step toward me. "You set us up. I documented your behavior. There's a difference." He lunged at me, but I'd been expecting it. I sidestepped and let his momentum carry him into a pile of sawdust and old lumber. He came up swinging, but Ray and Detective Amos grabbed his arms. "That's assault," Amos said, "in front of multiple witnesses." "He ruined my life," Matt shouted. "You ruined your own life," Sandra said from the back of the room. "Just like you ruined mine." Leah was still crying, but now she was angry too. "You can't do this, Eli. You can't humiliate me in front of everyone." "I didn't humiliate you," I said calmly. "I just showed people who you really are. The humiliation is all yours." Holly and Tina were trying to sneak toward the exit, but Mrs. Carmichael blocked their path. "Oh no, girls. You were so eager to help destroy this man's marriage. Don't you want to see how the story ends?" I clicked to the final slide. Copies of divorce papers that Leah had already signed, giving me everything: the house, the cars, the bank accounts, the retirement funds. In her panic and desperation, she'd agreed to a settlement that left her with almost nothing. "How did you get those?" she demanded. "Your lawyer sent them over this afternoon. Apparently you were so eager to end this marriage that you didn't read the fine print." The truth was, I'd had my own lawyer draft the papers and present them to Leah as coming from her attorney. In her emotional state, she'd signed without reviewing them carefully. "This isn't legal," she said. "I'll contest it." "With what money? Your company fired you yesterday, by the way. Something about embezzling funds to support your affair." Leah's face went white. "I never embezzled anything." "No, but it's going to be hard to prove that when the evidence shows you've been funneling company money through fake expense reports to pay for hotels and gifts." Amazing how creative accounting can be misinterpreted. I'd planted just enough false evidence to make her look guilty, knowing that her real financial misconduct, stealing from our joint accounts, would make the fake charges seem plausible. Matt tried to break free from Ray and Detective Amos again. "You're insane. You've destroyed both our lives over a stupid affair." "I've given you exactly what you wanted," I said. "Freedom. Leah's free from her boring marriage. You're free from the burden of running a business. Everyone wins. My gym is ruined. Your gym was already failing." I just accelerated the process. Detective Amos was taking notes throughout the confrontation. "Eli, I'm going to need copies of all this evidence. Some of these financial irregularities might be criminal." "Of course. I have everything documented and ready for your review." Leah looked around the room at all the faces staring at her, neighbors, friends, co-workers, all seeing her at her lowest moment. The perfect life she'd built was crumbling, and everyone was watching it happen. "No, you're a monster," she whispered. "No," I said. "I'm just a man who believes in consequences." "No." The crowd began to disperse, but the damage was done. By morning, the entire town would know every detail of Leah and Matt's affair, along with the financial manipulation and lies that had surrounded it. Holly and Tina tried to approach Leah as people filed out of the sawmill, but she turned away from them. "Don't," she said. "Just don't. Leah, we were only trying to help. You helped destroy my marriage. You encouraged me to throw away everything I had for a man who was using me. Some friends you are." They left without another word, their own reputations in ruins, thanks to their starring role in my presentation. Matt was still being restrained by Ray and Detective Amos. "This isn't over," he said to me. "I'll find a way to make you pay for this." "With what?" I asked. "Your gym is finished, your reputation is shot, and you're about to be charged with assault. I'd focus on finding a good lawyer if I were you." Sandra walked over to where her ex-husband was standing. "Hello, Matt. Karma's a bitch, isn't it?" "Sandra, save it. I just wanted to see your face when your world fell apart. It was worth the drive from Portland." She turned to me and shook my hand. "Thank you. I've been waiting 3 years to see him get what he deserved." "No." Detective Amos released Matt with a warning about staying away from me and Leah. "I'll be filing charges for the assault," he told him. "And I'll be investigating those financial irregularities Eli mentioned." "No." Matt stumbled out of the sawmill, defeated and alone. His truck wouldn't start. I'd had Ray disable it earlier, so he had to walk to the nearest gas station to call for help. Leah was the last to leave. Standing in the empty sawmill looking at the projector screen where her secrets had been displayed for everyone to see. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked. "Since the night I found that first text message. Maybe longer." Part of me always knew you'd eventually show your true colors. I loved you once. No, you loved the idea of me. The successful husband, the nice house, the comfortable life. You never loved me. She didn't argue, which told me everything I needed to know. What happens now? She asked. Now you live with the consequences of your choices. You wanted excitement, passion, drama. You got it. I have nothing left. You have exactly what you deserve. She walked toward the exit, then stopped and looked back at me. You know what the worst part is? You're right, about all of it. I did throw away everything good in my life, for a man who didn't really want me. I did lie, and steal, and manipulate to get what I thought I wanted. And now I have to live with that. Yes, you do. I hope it was worth it, Eli. I hope destroying me was worth becoming the kind of man who could do something like this. It was. She left without another word. I packed up my equipment and drove home to the house that was now entirely mine. Mrs. Carmichael was waiting in her front yard, practically vibrating with excitement. Eli, that was the most dramatic thing I've seen in 40 years of living in this town. You certainly showed them what happens when people try to take advantage of a good man. I certainly did. Will you be all right? Living in that big house all by yourself? I'll be fine, Mrs. Carmichael. Better than fine. I went inside and poured myself a glass of expensive whiskey from the bottle Leah had given me for my birthday last year. Then I sat in my living room, in my house, bought with my money, and raised a toast to the empty air, to consequences, I said out loud, and to the people who earn them. Outside, I could hear cars driving by slowly, neighbors hoping to catch a glimpse of the man who'd orchestrated the most spectacular revenge in the town's history. Let them look. Let them talk. I'd given them a story they'd be telling for years. Leah had wanted to feel alive, to escape the boring predictability of our marriage. Well, she'd gotten her wish. She was about to discover just how exciting life could be when you had no money, no job, no friends, and no reputation. Matt had wanted to play the conquering hero, stealing other men's wives and building his ego on their misery. Now he'd learn what it felt like to lose everything to a better player. Holly and Tina had wanted to live vicariously through their friend's affair, encouraging her destruction for their own entertainment. Now they were part of the story, their own marriages and friendships strained by their role in the scandal. Everyone had gotten exactly what they'd asked for. I finished my whiskey and went upstairs to bed. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of rebuilding my life without the weight of a lying, cheating wife dragging me down. I'd sell the house, maybe move somewhere new, start fresh. But tonight, I was content to savor the taste of perfect revenge. They'd all learned the same lesson. Don't underestimate the quiet man in the corner. He might be planning something you'll never see coming. And when he strikes, he doesn't miss.